Hello, 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 Facebook. Oh, I have it in my earpiece. I don't know if this is going to work. Need to take off my notification. Hi, how are you? It's Tanasha, your social worker and therapist in Brampton, principal therapist at Mastery of Self Inc., where I counsel people who come in for support on any walks of life, especially those who have experienced trauma. I'm on here every Monday to uplift anyone who may feel that they need inspiration. And I also drop in some knowledge about different topics, especially when it comes to depression, anxiety, and stress, relationships, and just knowing how it feels to love on self. So, as you already know, some of you may already know that I have written a book called Once Broken, and it is live on Amazon. And I had some issues with the Kindle version, but it is now up and running. I am happy today that is one thing that is off my list. And so you can download the digital version of Once Broken on your phone for those who like the digital platform. And you can also buy the physical book on Amazon. You can go on www.once-broken.com and that will lead you directly to the link. I am also on the international platform where I'm on Indigo. Good evening. How are you? Pastor James, welcome. On the international platform where I'm on Indigo, Apple Books, Chapters, to name some, Barnes and Nobles, and many other platforms. I just know it's international and I'm happy. And so as I lead towards now going to start the audio version, because a lot of people like to listen to books, I pray that that goes well. So today I am focusing on therapy and the fact that some of us Black folks, our culture, that we tend to think that therapy is a taboo. Do we still think it is? Is it still a taboo that we believe that we shouldn't speak to people when we are suffering? Do we believe that most of us will continue hiding in our darkness? Welcome, Nadia Bruce. It is lovely to see you. Do we think that it comes from our generation before us? And what are the status behind that? What do people think when they say that they're going to look for help, which is counseling, go for therapy? You're welcome. And what is it that we Black people are afraid to face when we go to seek help? And the reason why I'm talking about this, because I find that men particularly struggle to ask for help. We women, we go to our girlfriends, we find somebody to vent to, and eventually we take the referral of our girlfriends and we say, girl, you need to get some help. You need to speak to someone. So today I want us to go into a discussion as to why is it a taboo today, 2021, that we, especially in the Black culture, we find it very hard to seek professional help. Why is that? And I wish for you to put in your comments. I want a dialogue. I want us to engage with one another because it is serious. We probably will go and seek someone within our church. And even then we hesitate. Why is it that we do not trust help that is out there? Is it because our generation before us, I'm not talking like 5 generations. I'm talking as far as when our generation went through slavery, right? I'm talking as far as when our generation had to work in the fields, right? And we were told not to say nothing. We were told to just keep it to ourselves. Even when we have been beaten, we don't say nothing. And so could it come from that far that it's just in our blood and we just continue with the same tradition? We just don't say anything. We don't tell nobody our business. We don't seek help. Why? Because it's just something we just don't do. And when we are not well, we tell each other that, you know what, drink some tea and you'll feel better. Or go outside, read a book. And I'm just going by the things that have been said to me when I'm to myself, find myself isolating in my room or depressed. Even the word depression, which some of our people do not want to hear the word. They don't want to even talk about it. You would think it had knives and horns, just the word depression. I realize that people do not want to discuss when it comes to our feelings, our mental state. But why? Why do you think that is, Pastor James? Why do you think that is, Nadia? Why do you think that when we people are seeking, when we need the help, we need it so bad, we as Black people, some of us will not seek help? Why do you think that? I honestly feel that based on my traditions, my culture background, Jamaican background, both parents are from Jamaica, and growing up, I was never given the platform to even hear my voice. I wasn't told that my voice mattered as a child. I was told to respect my elders and listen to anything. Whoever is older than me, I'm to listen and go by what they say. And I'm to be seen and not heard. What else was there? There was, your opinions don't matter. So when big people are talking, you're to find, your space into your room. And so these are things that I was brought up. So when I was sexually abused, people often say, why didn't you tell someone? Because I know that no one wanted to hear me. So why would I tell somebody something when no one wanted to hear me? I wasn't given the platform to speak. So could you imagine the amount of children within the culture now or even before who are now adults who cannot find peace because they were never given the voice to speak, right? Even when women are going, and it's the same when women have been going through domestic violence. It doesn't even matter what background you're in. You just don't speak, right? You don't talk about it. Why is that? Why don't we seek the help? Why don't we trust the help that's out there? Even though we've never even experienced going to a therapist, why is it that when we are lost in darkness and crying for help, we do not put our hands out? We don't put our hands up even to say, I need the help. Even when we're at church, I've seen people at church, even myself, I've been at church where I needed help. I was in the darkest of the darkest place, and they call me to the altar, and I sit there and don't move. I sat there and I did not move. Afraid to be judged. Yes, that is one for sure. Fear is one thing. When we do not know about the process, we fear it. We don't know what the results will be. We don't know what it's going to be like to walk into an office. And so because of that, we keep away. We don't even bother to even inquire about it. And so my journey going into therapy was I believe it was by faith, in a sense that my brother was murdered. Innocent boy at 15 was murdered. And the family, some of us to this day, are very distraught. And they offered free counseling because they realized that he was taken away from us senselessly by accident. They said it was wrong identity. He was hit, gone forever. And so through that, we were given counseling, and that's how I started my therapy. Could you believe that? Because I was grieving. Pastor James says, I believe the main reason is due to our cultural beliefs that not everyone that comes by is to be trusted. Amen. Yes. Or as you rightfully said, don't say nothing because of this. Many don't trust or have even struggled to speak as they were once told to not say much, as you bring up. Yep, shame. yourself and relatives. Yes, so true, Pastor James, so true. And so the reason why I have a practice, the private practice, what has pushed me, not only from my personal story, but the fact that I cannot allow things to be the same. I'm one person, but if I can influence one and that other person influence another person, we can get our people in a place to trust one another, to trust community, to trust themselves. So I, as a therapist, my goal in life is to change the word depression and no, not depression, to change the word mental health, to put mental health as that word that we're so afraid to talk about, as self-care. What are you doing for your self-care? What are you doing for your mental state? How are you taking care of yourself? Because if we don't start changing the language, our people will continue to be afraid of the language. And I mean as old as even in the 60s and 80s years old, seniors have looked at me and said they don't like the word because they feel that when you say mental health, you're saying that they're insane, that they're lost their capacity to even think. So they take it as an insult. So my goal is to put a love to it, to put care and comfort to it, to let people understand the reason why we have to deal with our mental state is because we need to be good. When we are broken, we can function, because you see, resiliency that we have as people is beyond 100%. We can't even we can't gauge our resiliency because that's how powerful we are. So we're able to become mothers and fathers. We can go to work. We can operate at our best. But when we are forced to look at ourselves, when we're forced to look at our darkness and our brokenness, that's where the challenge comes in. And we don't understand how we act around certain people, how we respond, the things that would trigger us, because we're not willing to do the self-work to root out generational curses and cycles and do the work on ourselves to unlearn the things that we've been taught after generation, because it's in our blood. So even if we say we don't have it or we deny it, it's in our blood. So when we start to unlearn it and learn new ways how to take care of ourselves, how to love ourselves, and how to love others, when we learn those things, we become at peace with ourselves. And so my goal is to not only come on here every Monday, but to influence people to understand the importance of taking care of self. It is so important, because when we get to work and we're not well, we can't work, because you can't work unwell. You have to be well to perform, right? And so when we carry that weight of shame, guilt, the secrets, the darkness, the depression, the alcohol, the drug use, right? The betrayal, the rejection, when we carry those baggages on our backs, we carry them for years until we realize that we have to release them. Amen. Self-work is so needed. It is. It takes practice. And I preach the same thing over and over, but you know what? If it has to hit one person for them to understand that you can't do self-work today and you're golden. It doesn't work that way. Self-work is every day. It's every day, because you want to be your best self. Everyone wants to aspire to be more than what they are today. I believe that. That is a desire that they want more for themselves. And so to do the self-work, you get closer and closer to who you are. You discover amazing things about yourself that you didn't know or didn't realize. And so the more you get closer to yourself and start to love yourself, you even start to see gifts that you didn't even know you had, talents you didn't know you had, right? And so when you start to get used to those talents, you now start to apply them in your life. So the energy that we carry every day of the load of the stress, amen, absolutely, the load of the stress that we carry on our shoulders of the past that we cannot change, it takes away from our joy and our peace. And so until we understand that we have to unpack these things, we have to unpack them, we got to root them out, we got to destroy them. When we take out these things and unroot the lies that we tell ourselves, when we root out the rejection, right? The depression, the isolation, the anxiety, when we root those out, you start to walk lighter. You start to trust even yourself, because we don't even trust ourselves sometimes. I can attest to that. We don't trust ourselves all the time. But the more you start to do the self-work, you get closer to loving who you are. And that is why I'm here as a therapist. And that is why you must seek professional help, because your best friend won't have all your answers to your problems, right? And unless you have a belief of something higher than yourself, right? God. I believe in God. And so I believe that God will provide all that I need. But sometimes trust becomes even a factor in that relationship, right? And so as a therapist, my goal is to always lead you from your trials, your past that you can't change, into your victory, your peace, your happiness. And you do it on your own. I'm just the guide. I'm just the one to just to identify the things that you're carrying. And so that is why I came on here today, to talk about the cultural taboos that we have as Black folks, that we keep, right? That we don't want to release that fear of having to ask for professional help, and and we don't realize the generational curses that we're carrying until they're dealt with. And so as I always come on here and I do my best to give you some gems to go and think about this today, because today is magical. It's always going to be magical because you have the control within your day. And if anyone has tried to mess up your day, you have every power within you to change that around. And so as I come on here today to inspire you to believe in the power that you have, not only in your mouth, but in your thoughts and your imaginations, to keep moving forward to your best self. Keep doing the self-work. And therapy is not a taboo. Therapy is real. It is real and it works. And if you haven't gotten that therapist that has brought you to a place of peace, you can come and check me out at 134 Queen Street, Unit 406. And I am there 4 days a week. And you can also call me at 905-218-3515, and I will assist you to getting you to your best self. And so that's where I'm going to stop. I thank you all for coming on. And if you're watching the replay, I wish you all the best. Keep being you, keep striving to find who you are. Remember, there's a beauty in the brokenness. And the more you work on yourself, the more you do the self-work, you get closer to peace and closer to the happiness that you've always wanted. I wish you all the best. Have an amazing Monday. Be blessed and see you next week.